What's up and welcome back to my channel, the best place on the internet to learn about motorcycle mindset, tips and advice to get you confident and comfortable so that you can live your best life. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about spring cleaning motorcycle activities that will get you ready to ride once the weather warms up. So spring is a great time to start preparing for the upcoming riding season. The days are getting longer, it's getting warmer, and you can really start to imagine yourself sitting in the saddle of your motorcycle riding into the wind. So depending where you live in the world, there might still be snow on the ground, or maybe it's cold outside, and riding really just isn't an option for you yet. But that does not mean that you can't use this time to organize your riding gear and get your motorcycle in good working order so that you can hit the road as soon as the time is right. So here I am sharing my favorite springtime motorcycle activities to help you prepare for riding season. So the first thing we want to do is check your motorcycle. The very first thing you want to do after a very long winter hiatus. You want to ensure that your motorcycle is in safe working order before you take it on the first ride of the season. So I want you to treat this first look as if you were inspecting it, like you were buying it all over again. For example, are there any stains on the ground underneath the motorcycle that might indicate any leaks? Are there signs of deterioration on the hoses, the cables, or any of the lines? How does the body look? What condition are the tires in? Can you see any rust? Is there any wear on the brake pads? Do you see any wet surfaces that might indicate any additional leaks? And if you left the battery in the motorcycle, is it clean of corrosion? Does the motorcycle start up as expected? Does the throttle snap back into position after you roll it backwards a couple times? Do the brake levers function properly? Can you squeeze the clutch all the way in? If your motorcycle doesn't start up as expected, I want you to check the battery first. Is it connected? If it is and it still doesn't start, then the battery might be dead or just have a really low voltage. You can check the voltage with a multimeter and then charge it with a battery tender. Otherwise, if the battery is just straight up dead, you can always replace it. I want you to inspect your tires. After months-long storage conditions, tires can develop some flat spots, basically where it's been resting for months on end. So to check for flat spots, all you have to do is just roll your motorcycle back and forth and have someone else basically watch the tires and see if they notice any signs of wear or any flat surfaces. The next thing, I want you to look closely for any dry rot on your tires that have been developing. So dry rot is basically any cracks in the rubber. It's going to be kind of on the grooves of the tire, but it's also really evident on the sides of the tire. And in addition to that, is there any tread left on the tire? So can you kind of insert maybe a fingernail or a penny or any kind of coin and get like some pretty good grooves in those tires? If not, then that's a good indication that you have a lot of wear and it might be time to upgrade. Next thing, I want you to pump your tires to the correct PSI as indicated on the side of the tire. Now, this is always going to be dictated by the manufacturers, so I want you to pump it up to exactly what it says, no more, no less. If everything is looking good and you've troubleshooted everything that you need to, then go ahead and give your motorcycle a wash. Clean it gently of the dust and any grime that has accumulated over winter. And then the next thing is just to dry it fully so there aren't any watermarks. And you can also, if you love doing this, you can polish the chrome of your motorcycle, maybe with a microfiber towel and some chrome cleaner available at a local auto parts store. And if you need any larger repairs that's going to require some shop time or any kind of work that you need to be done in a mechanic's shop, I want you to book it in now before everyone else starts booking their mechanic work. So it can be really tough to find availability for any mechanic closer to the riding season when everyone else is really starting to think about tune-ups and what their repairs are going to look like. So the next thing, we want to spring clean your motorcycle safety gear. I want you to check your safety gear is intact and it's going to still keep you protected in a crash. So does your gear still fit after winter? Do the zips function? Is the fabric and the leather still in good shape? Are there any tears that need repairing? Or any seams that need to be restitched, maybe on the gloves or any kind of hard-wearing surface? Are there any holes in your rain gear? Want to avoid that at all possible. And does your helmet still fit and look as expected? And a couple items that I always like to check are the armor pieces in my riding jacket and in my riding jeans. Now, at the end of last riding season, I realized that one of my elbow pads was actually split on the inside of my jacket, which means that my elbow would have been compromised and badly injured if I had crashed before I replaced this piece of armor. So when I realized this happened, I upgraded all of my body armor as soon as possible. And so now that I have new armor, I can basically ride confidently, knowing that everything is intact and of good quality. So checking your jacket seams are intact and free from tears is really another great strategy that I like to do personally at the start of every riding season. So any tears will weaken basically the integrity of the abrasion-resistant fabric, making it more likely to split open in the event of a crash. So I take my jacket to a local boot maker for repairs, and they basically, I provide them with the motorcycle patches, and they use those patches to cover any holes or tears in the fabric. So like I mentioned, I recently bought motorcycle armor jeans, and at the end of this winter, I made sure they still fit after winter with and without the armor in place. So after that, I washed them thoroughly. So basically they're ready to go once the weather warms up, and I'm not going to lose any time to prepping all of my gear. So the final thing is, are you considering upgrading your helmet? If so, I want you to start shopping around now before riding season. So basically you can find the one that you want before everyone else starts buying their helmets too. And currently there are some shipping delays here in the early part of 2022. So if you need any parts, if you need any gear, basically the sooner the better. You want to make sure that you're not falling behind and not losing any time riding when the sun is out and the weather is beautiful. Okay, so the next thing, number 3, is we want to check our motorcycle insurance and registration is up to date. So over winter, it can be really easy to forget to renew your motorcycle insurance or your motorcycle registration. So personally, my motorcycle insurance is always due in February. And since I live in the United States of Minnesota, February is always freezing cold, and I just kind of lose it in the shuffle and I forget to renew the insurance. I've done it a couple years in the past, basically because riding is the last thing on my mind at that time of the year. So I actually have some friends who will even cancel their motorcycle insurance altogether during the winter months, especially in the northern part of the world, because we have such long, cold winters. You can actually save quite a bit of money if you just kind of cancel it altogether. So these friends of mine then reactivate their insurance closer to riding season when they know that they're going to be back on the road and actually using that. So check your policy end dates and renew as appropriate. So this just means that once you start riding, you're insured. So if anything does happen, you have that peace of mind. This is also a really good time to remind yourself of your motorcycle registration too. So in my mind, those two things kind of go hand in hand. I know when insurance is up, I know when registration is up. If you're not familiar with that, just kind of go back to your records, see that you're up to date. And also, do you have the right registration stickers on your license plate? So every year here in Minnesota, we get another tiny little sticker that we have to just kind of layer up on the license plate. Just make sure that you've got the right one, the right year, and everything is up to date. If it is, then awesome, you are ready to ride. Finally, so number 4 is going to be book a motorcycle safety course. So this might seem odd to book a motorcycle safety course, especially if you already know how to ride or you've been riding for a couple of years, maybe a couple of decades. So I am not saying start from scratch here, but it can be immensely, incredibly beneficial to start each riding season with a refresher course to practice your skills after a long winter hiatus. So here in the US, most states have an intermediate rider course that is at least half a day. At most, that they're about one full day, so like 5 to 8 hours. They're really affordable because they are typically shorter than the introductory courses. And they're really just a fantastic opportunity to practice the muscle memory for riding a motorcycle, and it's going to help you get back into the rhythm of correct riding technique so you can ride as safe as possible every time you hit the asphalt. So, as a motorcycle coach, I practice riding each year. I like to do drills like quick stops, many different slow speed maneuvers. I like to practice turns from a stop. I like to practice kind of curves. So I do all of that in parking lots at low speeds before I actually hit the road when the riding season does commence. So motorcycle courses are going to be really great for this because it is a safe environment with expert coaches, and you get to meet new friends and kind of expand your motorcycle community. So who doesn't want to do that, right? I want you to book your motorcycle course sooner rather than later because they fill up super quick, especially the closer you get to riding season. Now, these motorcycle courses are basically finite in nature. There are only so many on the calendar each year. They're usually scheduled and staffed months and months ahead of time and can be really tough to add additional classes to the schedule if there is like a greater demand. So definitely book those sooner rather than later. Okay, so now at this point in the video, I've shared my favorite ways to prepare yourself and your motorcycle for the upcoming riding season, and I hope you're going to implement at least one of these tips in your life so you can accelerate into the upcoming riding season with confidence, knowing that your motorcycle is safe and that you are ready for whatever the season brings. Okay, so I want you to comment below and let me know which of these tips resonates most with you. Which one do you already do? Which other tips would you recommend that you've already been doing for years? And preparing for the upcoming riding season is really only one strategy for riding motorcycles. So if you haven't already, I want you to sign up for my free guide on how to go from a non-rider to a badass biker babe. The link is in the description box below. Now, I post a ton of content about mindset and motorcycles to help women live their best lives unapologetically. So while you wait for my video next week, make sure you watch these other 2 videos. I promise they will not disappoint. As always, I love you, I appreciate you. Have a great day, a beautiful week, and I will see you in the next video.